This is episode 313 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today I'm inviting you inside the Stop Stressing About Your Weight Masterclass. It is time to let go of the shame we feel about our weight. In this 3-day live event, I'm teaching you how you can take control of your feelings and end the weight stress for good. This is day 1. Ready? Let's do this. Welcome to the Going Beyond the Food Show. I'm Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist and creator of the Going Beyond the Food method. And after a 25-year dieting career that started at the age of 12, I decided to say hell no to diet culture and undiet my life. It is now my mission to help women undiet their life. If you're new to our podcast, be sure to grab our free podcast roadmap at stephaniedodier.com/roadmap. Ready, sisters? Let's do this. Welcome to the Stop Stressing About Your Weight Masterclass. I'm so freaking excited to be able to put this on the podcast feed. This is the recording from the free live event that is happening, hopefully in the same time that you're listening this, February 15th, 16th, and 17th. 2022. And I wanted to invite our podcast audience to join us. If you're listening to this and we're not finished yet, meaning it's before February 17th, you can register to join us and we'll send you all the recording and the worksheet from the prior days. You can go to the show notes or at stephaniedodier.com/masterclass series. I've never done a 3-day masterclass before. I have done a lot of 1-hour webinars and training, but this is like a big event where you get me for 3 days in a row and I'm coaching your brains out. Literally, we're going to get to work and solve this perspective you have on your weight in the 3 days. I'm going to teach you tools and technique to let go of the shame and release the shame out of your body, and how to take control of the feeling you want to have about your body and your weight going forward. So I'm going to share my weight peace protocol, and I'm going to show you how to process and release emotion about your weight, about your body. But here's the thing. You can apply that to the rest of your life. It's the same process. We're just going to teach it in the context of what we do here at Undiet Your Life. I'm going to teach you the riding the wave process. We're going to spend a whole day on self-authorization, which when I discovered this concept through coaching the women in my program, I put my finger on what was missing. You'll see when you get in. This is day 2 of the masterclass. I'm going to teach you how to think intentionally. Literally, how to authorize yourself to think what you want about your weight and about your body. And on the last day, I'll be remiss if we didn't talk about other people's thoughts, words, and opinion, because that's a big roadblock as we enter the world of undieting our life. We are really, really worried about what other people in our life will have to say. So I'm going to teach you how to detox, literally how to release the worry you have about other people's thoughts and words and opinion about you, about your body, about the choice you're making. All of that can go away. And it's actually very simple. So I'm going to be teaching the first 20 minutes or so every day. And then I'm going to be answering questions and coaching. Because here's the thing. We can learn intellectually a pile of concepts. Best example of that is reading the intuitive eating book. You can learn, you can read, you can understand the concept, but reading and understanding a concept is not what makes the change happen in your life. When we're talking about human behavior, Yes, intellectual has a place into this and it must happen, but 75% of the reason why people change, transform, is because of the practice and the embodiment. In our coaching world, we have 3 stages of coaching. We have the learning, which is the intellectual process, and we have building the skill. Like we have to build the habit of doing the thing, and then we have to learn to live the rest of our life with this new behavior. So that's what coaching is about. And I'm going to give you a taste of that. I'm going to take some of the people who registered for the class that are raised their hand. I'm going to bring them forward and I'm going to coach them. Now, here's the cool thing. When you're listening to other people being coached, you learn more than when you're being coached yourself, as long as you're practicing active listening. So I'm going to teach you about active listening, and then we're just going to coach and learn. And by the end of the 3 days, I'm going to invite all the registrant, all of you on the podcast, to join us for the Confidence Bootcamp. The Confidence Bootcamp is a 6-week bootcamp where we're actually going to create confidence for our body, confidence for ourselves, and confidence in our life. We're going to continue the learning inside of Undiet Your Life, and a special focus on confidence for 6 weeks for all of you who are going to come join us inside of Undiet Your Life. The Confidence Bootcamp will start on February 28th. So you'll need to be a student of Undiet Your Life by that date. Okay, enough talking and introducing. Stop stressing about your weight masterclass. Let's roll in the recording. Hello. I'm going to let people slowly come in all right now. So if you want to get coached, raise your hand and then I will bring you on and then we can coach live through talking to each other. There's also a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. You can drop your question, your thoughts, your haha moment in there, because we will extract that and use that for upcoming session in the next 2 days for Q&A session. So drop your question in there as well. So 2 ways, dropping your question in the Q&A and then raising your yellow hand. So with that in mind, we're going to get going. So for those who don't know, I'm Stephanie Dodier, and I help women create unshakable confidence by reshaping their mind, not their body. And I've been working exclusively with women and been doing this work for the last 8 years. And for the last 2 years, I've been training professionals and coaches into our methodology that's called Going Beyond the Food. And I also host a little podcast called Going Beyond the Food. So I would love to know, for those of you who know me through the podcast, tell it to me in the chat box. I've been hosting my podcast for 5.5 years now. So in the next 3 days, I'm going to take you all on the journey of becoming confident. And this is no matter where you are on the journey. There's people here who are already working on their body acceptance. Some people aren't. Some people are coming from the world of intuitive eating. Some people are coming from the world of business. It doesn't matter where you came from and where you are on your journey. The mindset tools I'm going to be teaching you today will fast track any result you're trying to achieve right now. I can guarantee you that what you're going to learn here is going to blow your mind and be a game changer when you apply it to your goal. So as I say on the podcast, are you ready? Let's do this. So there's 3 things that you need to do to stop stressing about your weight and instead creating confidence. Only 3 things. Number 1, you need to process the emotion you currently feeling about your body. 2, you need to authorize yourself to think differently about your body. And then 3, you need to coach yourself into thinking these thoughts for the rest of your life. That's it. We can end the call here if you've written down those 3 steps and go out and do them. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to end the call here because you have a human brain. And your human brain will want to create complication to this 3-step process. Who's there already? Who's like brain is already saying, no, this has to be more complicated. But really, there's only 3 things. Process the emotion you're currently feeling, authorize yourself to think different thoughts, and then coach yourself in thinking these thoughts ongoing. 3 steps. Now, the last step, step number 3, coach yourself into thinking these thoughts. That's the work. The work is constantly cleaning out your brain and putting in thoughts that are going to create the way you want to feel. So we're going to do that for 3 days, and then we're going to carry on doing this with the Confidence Bootcamp. This is a paid offer I'm going to share with you in the next couple of days that's going to bring you into my world to have me work with you to constantly be coaching yourself into thinking these new thoughts. And that is going to lead you to become a confident person because you have a human brain. And the human brain loves to complicate things, and we're going to uncomplicate it, and then it's going to complicate it, and we're going to uncomplicate it. That's what coaching is about. Now, I came to this world of reshaping your mind, not your body, through my own journey. So I was raised in an environment where having goals and achieving goals through our action was the number one priority in our life. So I took a lot of action and I achieved a lot of things in my first career in the corporate world. I achieved money. I achieved breaking the glass ceiling. There was one area of my life where I was constantly failing, and that was shaping my body. And I continued to work through action and all of my goals until my body gave out. So in my late 30s, I had a breaking point and I became sick and I was looking for healing. And I came to the world of mindset through that path. And I started studying with Eckhart Tolle, and Eckhart Tolle teach about presence and meditation and feeling your feelings. And I did that for a couple of years, constantly feeling my feelings and processing my feelings and feelings my feelings. But it kept coming back. The same feeling kept coming back. That's when on a late night binge of YouTube, I discovered Wayne Dyer. And I came upon this video that he did, a talk that he did called Change Your Thought, Change Your Life. And oh my God, my brain was blown. He taught me that my thoughts create my feeling. And the reason why I was spinning in the same feelings all the time is because I kept thinking the same thought. And then that's when he really blew my mind. He said, you have the choice to think the thought that you want. I'm like, what? What? I don't have to think the thought my brain offer me? And that propelled my life. It created phenomenal results in my own health, in my business, in my relationship. But again, one place that this tool of changing your thought, changing your life didn't work. And it was with my self-confidence and my body image. And that's when I met my third teacher. Her name is Carol Lowenthal. She has this little podcast called Unfuck Your Brain. And she teaches that the thought we think as women are the thoughts that we're socialized through via diet culture and patriarchy. And as women, we are trained, indoctrinated, socialized to think thought that makes us feel less than. And the beauty in our body is the tool that's being used to make us feel less than. Again, mind blown. And at that time, I was already teaching and coaching intuitive eating and body image. I didn't understand systemic oppression. I'm like, holy shit, that's the reason why I cannot neutralize my body. So then I worked with her. She taught me a tool called the self-coaching model Then I'm going to teach you today. That's my gift to you for those 3 days, is the self-coaching model. And it's going to be super easy for you to apply in your life and create the transformation of stress to confidence. And I guarantee you, it's going to blow your mind first, and then it's going to change not only your body image and your self-confidence, but many sectors of your life if you apply it to other places in your life. So ready? Grab a pen and a paper. We're going to do the most powerful exercise right now, 10 minutes into this training. So grab your pen and your paper, a blank piece of paper, obviously. At the very top of that piece of paper, I want you to write 2 words, body weight. The very first line of that piece of paper, write the word body weight. That's what we call a circumstance. Your body weight is neutral. Now, the next 5 lines, I want you to write down, when you think of your body weight, I want you to write down the first 5 thoughts that come to your mind, the first 5 opinions, the first 5 crazy idea that comes into your brain when you think of your own body weight. Go ahead. The first 5 sentence, thoughts, words that come to your mind when you think of your body weight. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. Okay. I'm sure you have more than 5. We're going to restrain ourselves to 5 for today, okay? So beside each one of those 5 thoughts, I want you to write the feeling or the emotion that you feel when you think that thought, right? So I want you to close your eyes, repeat the thought in your mind, and then write down how you feel in your body. Okay? There's no right or wrong. This is personal to you. So beside each thought, close your eyes, repeat the thought in your mind, and write down the feeling. Go ahead. Give you a couple minutes. Okay. You ready for this? So the stress, the shame, the worry, whatever emotion you put at the end of the thought was created by the thought you think. Let me say it another way. In the neutral circumstance, in the event of your body weight, the reason why you feel stress, shame, anxiety, worry is because of the thoughts you think, the 5 thoughts you wrote down on the piece of paper that you think about your body weight. You, through your mind, create the emotion you experience about your body. It's not anyone else's fault. It's not the fault of society. It's not the fault of anyone. It's the automated thought that you think about your body that create the emotional experience you have about your body. Here's the second mind-blowing thing. These thoughts, all the words you wrote below body weight, are not truth. They're not facts. They're not real. They're just a string of words that your brain has put together to formulate your own self-opinion of your body weight. That's it. Any body confidence, self-esteem, self-worth thought are just an opinion put together by your brain based on past experience. Here's the third mind-blowing thing. If you can create stress, if you can create anxiety, worry, you can create confidence. It's the same exact process. If you can create one emotion, you can create another one. How do you do that? You change the thought you're thinking about your body weight. Let me reveal this. This is applicable to any part of your life. It can be about food. It can be about self-worth. It can be about your career. You can change the way you feel about any circumstance in your life by changing the way you think about it. So we're now 15 minutes flat into this masterclass. And right now, I want to get a pulse of you. How do you feel? Are you having a ha-ha moment right now? Are you having a realization? Do you feel empowered? Because that's the truth of it here. If you can create stress, you can create confidence. If you can create self-doubt, you can create any freaking emotion in the world. And I'm going to refrain myself from using the F word today, because we're daytime. We may have little ears listening to us. But this is the secret of life, right? So light bulb moment, mind blown, excited. Yes, that's what I want. I want you to see the possibility. Right now, 15 minutes into this class, you have a choice to make. Even if you're watching in replay, you have a choice to make right now. You have to choose between seeing your possibility of what I just taught you or seeing your limitation. So seeing your possibility will sound like, holy fuck hell, if I can do this with my body, I can do this with anything. That's possibility. Believing in the possibility at the end, your own possibility. Or you can listen to your brain that's probably telling you, well, it can't be that easy. Come on. Like if it was that easy, we wouldn't have the issue in the world that we have right now. That's limitation. You have a choice to listen to one of these two thoughts, and that will determine what you're going to create with what I'm going to teach you today and in the next 3 days. So I want you to make the decision right now. At the end of this piece of paper, I want you to write down what you're choosing. I choose to see my possibility, or I choose to see my limitation. And commit yourself to your choice. Right now, write it down on the piece of paper. Now, your brain is not going to want to commit. There you go. It says unsure. That's your human brain. Your brain's like, no, we can't make a decision. And I'm going to talk about this in day 3. This is what we call learning to have your own back. We are afraid of failure. We are afraid of what we're going to do to ourselves if we don't uphold the commitment. Now, that's what we do in the Confidence Bootcamp and on Diet Your Life. That's what coaching is about. It's about a group of people coming together with a leader to constantly uphold possibility for ourselves all the time. So that's what the paid offering on Diet Your Life will be. But I need you to decide right now. Don't let yourself not make a decision. Because here's the thing. Not making a decision is making the decision of staying stuck. Let me repeat this. Not making a decision is making the decision of staying in the status quo. Whenever you have a choice, A or B, and you can't make a decision, you don't want to commit, you're committing to staying where you are right now. You're not going towards anything because you can't make a decision. Okay. Write down your commitments, and it starts now. And you're going to work with me for the next 3 days to do that. Now, the way peace protocol, the way to make peace with your body, the 3 simple steps I taught you at the beginning, what we just did is the first step, right? Is realizing that we are creating the current reality that we're living. So if you feel self-doubt instead of confidence, created by you. The second step of this process is releasing the self-doubt, the anxiety, the shame, and the stress. So in the worksheet that I'm going to give you, that's going to come with your replay. So watch for the replay email at 6 p.m. EST. You're going to have the replay, which you're going to own for a lifetime. And then you're going to have a PDF. Inside of that PDF, you're going to have a visual called Riding the Wave. This is what we teach inside of Undiet Your Life to process your emotion. So right now, since you don't have that, I want you to visualize a wave in the ocean. That's how emotion happens in your body. The wave builds up. It peaks, it peaks, it peaks, and then it breaks. Your emotion, when you allow them to be in your body, you don't fight them, you feel them, you stay present with the shame, you stay present with the anxiety, it's going to feel all kinds of things in your body, and it's going to break. The only way for you to release the emotion is to feel it. So we have a saying in Undiet Your Life, it says, feel, don't fight. Feel your emotions so you can break the wave. And when the wave rolls into shore, that's what we call learning. Remember, you create your emotion. You create the stress, the shame, the anxiety. You create it by the thoughts you think. So the learning, how we release the emotion, is we are asking ourselves, how did I create this? What was I thinking before I felt this emotion? Right? I want you to think of your emotion like a radar. You know, this airport radar in your life. Your emotion are to point you in a direction for you to learn to pay attention of what's going on up here, so you can stop thinking these thoughts and no longer create this emotion. That's it. That's emotional wellness for you. Control the thoughts you're thinking, and you won't have to constantly feel shame or stress or anxiety. You can feel whatever you want if you think the thoughts that are going to create that. So that's step 2. The learning phase is like taking your piece of paper and writing down your thought. That's what you just did. Took 5 minutes, not even 2 minutes. You put at the top the neutral circumstance. You dumped your thoughts on a piece of paper. You realize which emotion they caused. Now, I want to pause here for you to understand something. 99% of the thoughts you think on a daily are not created by you. These string of words, you have learned them from something in your life. It's not your fault that you're thinking these thoughts. These thoughts have been taught to you some way, somehow. And it's important that you understand where you picked up that thought. So I'm going to do a quick exercise here. I call that normalization, normalizing the thoughts you're thinking in your brain. Okay, so we're going to go back to these 5 thoughts, and I want you to repeat with me. Okay, you're going to have that on your worksheet. Don't worry. Take one thought and say to yourself, it makes total sense that my brain thinks, fill in the blank, because where did you learn it? Did you learn it from exposure to diet culture? Like thin is better, thin is beautiful, right? That's diet culture. Fat is ugly. That's fat shaming, right? That's fat phobia. Did you learn it because, I don't know, maybe your mom told you, right? You're worthy only if you're beautiful, or variation of that. Or maybe you went on a diet with your mom because your mom hated her body, right? Past experience, right? Family conditioning, social construct conditioning, like diet culture, patriarchy. Maybe it's a group of girlfriends you had in high school. Maybe it's the movies you watched, the TV. Where did you learn to think this way? Now, vast majority of your thought will come from diet culture or your own past experience of dieting or being around dieters. Here's another quick sentence you can use. Look at another thought on your piece of paper and say this one. Of course, it makes total sense to me to think that my body is ugly because we live in a society that's invaded by diet culture. So no wonder I think that fat is ugly, because everywhere I see women that are prominently put in society because they're thin or they look young, right? That's my new passion, is aging, right? Because I'm 47 and I should look like I'm a 30-year-old. Hell no. I'm super proud to be 47 years old. And heck yes, I've got wrinkles. But I used to think that aging was terrible. I had to change the thought in my brain. So when you get the worksheet, I want you to go through your 5 thoughts and to use one of those 2 sentences to normalize you as to why you're thinking these thoughts. But here's bottom line to this here. Your 5 thoughts you wrote on a piece of paper, these 5 thoughts created the current experience you have for your body now. Whatever you feel about your body, about yourself as a woman, about your capacity in your career, whatever the thing is, whatever you feel right now about this neutral circumstance is because of the way you think. If you want to have a different experience, if you want to feel differently, you must change the way you think about that circumstance in your life. There's no way around it. The way you think creates who you are right now. If you want a different you need to think about yourself differently. Self-confidence is a gift. Self-confidence is a gift you need to give yourself. Because right now we live in a structural framework for women that requires us, in order to uphold patriarchy, that we don't feel confident, that we play small. That's how the system is not disturbed. So in order for us to feel confident, it requires effort. It requires us actively working on feeling confident. And I know for myself, for years, I waited for confidence to literally drop on me. And I had to go through all these teachers and these gurus to teach me different pieces. Today, what I'm doing is I'm putting it all together for you in one simple 3-step. Feel your emotion, process them, learn the thoughts that are creating your current emotion, change the thought, and then constantly coach yourself in thinking this new thought until it becomes second nature. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to learn the concept of self-authorization, because it requires you to authorize yourself to think different thoughts. And I'm going to give you 5 thoughts that I use with all of my clients and I've used with myself that creates confidence easily. And I'm going to teach you how to think these thoughts. Okay? So now we're going to move on to coaching and answering questions. And hopefully the power will stay with me. So for those who weren't here at the beginning, here's how we do things. We have 2 options. We have the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen where you can communicate through me that way. And then you can raise your hand and then I'm going to bring you on and then we're going to coach together. Okay. Like we do in our coaching program where I coach people. So all of you that want to get coached, raise your hand. I'm going to bring you forward. And then if you have a question or a point of conversation you want to take upon what I taught you today, drop it in the Q&A. So let's see. Here. Okay, I don't see anyone that's raising their hand. So just FYI right now. Oh, I have somebody. Well, we have people. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we do have someone. Okay, keep raising your hand. And I'm going to go first come, first serve. And if you're shy and you don't want to come and talk to me, which I don't know why, but let's imagine you won't, put it in the Q&A. So I'm going to alternate from coaching and then going to the Q&A. Okay, Alyssa, I'm bringing you on. So I'm going to promote you to panelists. And then so I can talk to you live. Okay. So Alyssa, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. Nice to meet you.
I thought I'd be brave, super nervous, but I changed my thought and I said, I'm going to do this.
See, you're already doing the work. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go ahead. How can I support you today?
I think what brought me to this class is I'm so nervous. Sorry.
Okay. Let's take a deep breath. Do you know a little bit of breathing?
Mm-hmm.
So put your hands on your lap and make sure your feet are touching the floor so you feel safe and secure. And then if you don't have any physical obstruction, just breathe through your nose. And take a breath for 3 seconds in. Hold it if you can for 1 or 2 seconds. And then release it through your nose or your mouth. And let's repeat that 2 times on your own. I'm just going to entertain everyone. If you're doing this with me or with Alyssa right now, what we're doing is we're calming your central nervous system. Breathing and breath in general has this magic ability to bring safety to your nervous system. How do you feel now compared to a minute and a half ago?
A lot calmer.
There we go. Your nervous system was just a little bit freaked out because of all the thoughts you were having, being in front of people, right? We just said, no, we're safe. So go ahead. How can I help you?
I think the biggest thing I've struggled with is over probably the past 2 years, my body has changed a lot.
Okay.
And so those thoughts can be just derail you of any positivity or any work that you've been doing. They can just derail you in a second where you just feel like shame is a big one, where it's just like, my body's changed, but I'm still the same, all those different things. So I think just adjusting to dramatic body changes and what your guidance is for that.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want you to know that this is a part of the journey of body image we're all going through. Okay. 2, that tells me that in your brain, the concept of self-worth, right, your innate worth into this world is still attached to external part of you.
Mm.
Does that resonate with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
So one of the thought I'm going to give you guys tomorrow is going to be this one, because nearly like all of my clients I've coached in 8 years around body image all had to deconstruct self-worth and rebuild it in a different way. Okay? Because as women, like all the stuff we're learning about worth is just screwed up and we have to redefine it. So here's the thought I want you to practice. I am innately worthy. Or for anyone else, you could say, I am a human that's innately worthy like any other human. Do you have children, Alyssa?
I don't.
Okay. Do you interact with children? Maybe friends or brothers or sisters who have kids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you look at them right now, think of them in your brain. Would you think of them as conditionally worthy?
Yeah.
Right? We don't, right? We look at children and are like, no, they're worthy. Like they're born worthy. We don't even question it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we look at ourselves, we're like, but that's different for me.
So true.
Me? No, me different.
Yeah.
I have to earn my worth.
Right. Yes. Or have to look a certain way to be worthy or act a certain way, eat a certain way. We create that story.
Right? That story was taught to you, Alyssa. Not your fault. You don't create it because something is wrong with you. You've learned that through conditioning somewhere in your life. Mm-hmm. And your brain's like, well, that's a good thought, because every time we think that, we stay stuck. Yeah. Right? Your nervous system's like, I love this. We're not moving forward.
Yes.
We're staying here. Great. We're going to think that thought all the time. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
So your job is to redefine self-worth and to think the thought, whatever, I'm innately worthy, or I'm a human and I'm innately worthy just like any other human.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely. Yes. Okay.
So, was this helpful for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else I can help you with?
I think just being, and it's that stuff that you just don't want to talk about, right? And so just being here and talking about it and knowing that probably there's tons of people in the chat that are like, oh yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So that alone just, it helps a lot. So thank you.
So what you're describing here, I'm not going to let you go for just a minute. What you're describing here is what we know by science. By science, we know, and I don't talk a lot about science just because it's boring and it makes things complicated, but we know the number one way to diffuse shame is by sharing the shameful experience. Mm-hmm. That's what you just did. And right away, that released half the weight. Yeah. Like, no pun intended. Yeah. Right? Release half of the weight. And then when you are in a community of women who are experiencing the same thing and you're working through that, you're like, I'm not the only one. Do you mean that everybody's thinking this? Holy shit. It's not me. So keep talking about it.
Absolutely. Definitely will.
Thank you for your courage, and people all over you in the chat. So when I release you, go check the chat, okay?
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to send her back in the pool, and then we're going to pick up someone else. I'm going to bring Jenny on. While I bring you on, I'm going to answer a couple of questions in the Q&A box. Is there a retreat in person focusing on this technique? Great ideas, Louise. I don't know. Right now, there's none. COVID and all of this, but this may be a great idea for the future. So right now there's none. The way to talk or to practice these particular technique, really focus on women, is inside of Undiet Your Life, my online coaching community. But thank you for the tips. I may do that. Okay. Jenny, can you hear me? Unmute yourself.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Bonjour.
Hello.
How you doing?
Bonjour. I'm good. And thank you so much for your talk. It's such a privilege to be here and see you actually live. So really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Was it helpful for you?
Yeah, really helpful. I mean, a lot of the things that I was aware of anyway. And my question, I suppose, is that, I mean, I grew up in a time where, you know, it was all Kate Moss and it was all super, super skinny. And I didn't grow up in an environment, a family environment where my mum never weighed herself. She wasn't conscious of weighing herself. So I think over the years, I've got the messages about weight from all that kind of media around that time. And often it's so kind of below the surface and so kind of subconscious that I'm not actually aware of what I'm thinking. It's just coming up. And I guess it is good. And I certainly, over having listened to your podcast, I suddenly am brought into awareness of something that I hadn't known was sitting deep under there. And I wonder, I guess my question is that it? Is it through discussion that I have to start kind of unpacking and unraveling these core beliefs so that eventually they get to the surface? Or is there other ways that I can do it? I guess that's.
Yeah, that's a great question. So you talked about a few things here. Core belief, right? So the belief that, and we have to remember, what any of you train in belief and core beliefs, here's the thing about beliefs. It's simply a thought that you've been thinking for a long time. That's all a belief is. And the best example of that is political beliefs around a family. Many families share the same political beliefs. Meanwhile, there's another 50% of the population who believe the opposite viewpoint. If it was true that your view of the world was the truth, then everybody would think the same way. But because we know there's different people having different beliefs, then it's not a truth. Therefore, it's a thought that you're thinking. You've just been thinking it for so long that you've come to believe it's the truth. That's why you don't see it. Because it's just, often in my coaching, I have a pair of glasses and I'll put glasses on. I'm like, it's just a pair of glasses. If you take it off, woof, the world is different. So one of the most effective way to get to see your core beliefs is to writing down your thoughts. What we call doing the thought download. You know, the exercise I got you to do at the beginning, I put a neutral circumstance at the top, body weight. And I said, write down the first 5 thoughts you're thinking about it. And that, like, you didn't think, that was subconscious. For many women, if you look at the chat, they were like, holy shit, it's so surprising to see this, because you went into your subconscious mind and you just wrote down the first 5 thoughts. So to discover your core beliefs is by doing thought work, writing down your thought and starting to see the pattern. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess going forward, then you have to kind of keep cutting in those thoughts with a new perspective and kind of just reaffirming it again and again and again.
I'm going to tell you one thing. So if you come inside of Undiet Your Life, one of the tools we teach you is a thought ladder. So when we're working with core belief, because you've been thinking that thoughts for years, so in science, we say there's a neural pathway. Are you familiar with neural pathways?
Yeah.
So for people listening, I want you to think of your brain like a bunch of roadways, of highways into your brain. And right now, for an example, fat is ugly is the pathway around body image. In order for you to change your beliefs around body image, you need to build a new highway connecting A and B and keep using it until the groove in the road is well established. That's the practice of the thoughts. You need to establish a new junction between A and B. Now, the key here is doing that gradually. That's what we call the thought ladder. We're gradually increasing our belief. So for an example, that may sound like if you're working on body image, for an example, right? You may want to start at the place to say, it's possible for other women to believe that all bodies are good bodies. That's another thought I'm going to give you tomorrow, right? It's possible for other women to think that their body is a good body. Your brain will likely not refuse that. Your brain will be like, yeah, I can see this. And you're going to start looking for evidence. And then the next layer, once you're there and you believe it's possible for other women, the next layer is, it's possible for me to like my body in the future. Non-committal relationship. You're like, in the future, maybe my brain's going to accept to be neutral about my body. So your brain is not too freaked out. You're like, not now, in the future. So we're slowly, gradually moving to the place where I believe my body is a good body. How does that resonate with you?
Great. Thank you so much.
That's how we do belief work, people. What we did so far was thought work. Now, when we start scratching below the surface, we go deeper, then that's belief work. That's where we do thought ladder, for an example. Was that helpful for you, Jenny?
Yeah, really helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll send you back in the pool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we have the time for one more person. And I have a bunch of questions in the Q&A. So raise your hand. If not, I'm going to answer a ton of questions in the Q&A here. Okay. But even if we think we are worthy, regardless of our other outer image, we still may be surrounded by other humans who do not believe so. Yes, you will be. It's not maybe. You will be surrounded by other humans who don't believe the same thing as you. That's day 3 of our masterclass. So on Thursday, we're going to learn how to deal with other people's thoughts, other people's words, other people's opinion. So stay tuned for that. But I'm going to give you a hint. Okay? The way you created, let's imagine you're stressed about your weight. The way you created stress was by thinking a thought. If somebody else beside you has a different thought, that thought, get this, ready for this? That thought cannot move into your brain. Like physically cannot get into your brain. It has to be met with a similar thought in your brain. So the only reason why we feel shame, for an example, when somebody else gives us their opinion of our body and we feel shame, it's because we think similarly to them. That's the only reason. Perfect example of that is when you finish doing your body image work, like me, like I'm at the other end, right, of the work, people can say whatever they want about my body. It's not a belief that I have anymore. So they can say things, but is not met in my brain by a similar thought. Therefore, I don't feel it in my body anymore, right? Another example of that would be, I'm tall, I'm 6 foot tall, right? And for certain people, as a woman, to be 6 foot tall is something that's ugly, that's not good. And I've had comments in my life told to me that it's ugly that I'm so tall, I look like a man, right? But I never believed that being tall was a problem. So every time people ever commented on my height my whole life, because I never believed it to be a problem for me, I always laughed in my head. I'm like, they're jealous. They wish they could be tall like me. That's why they're saying things like this. But that same person would say something about my weight that would send me down a spiral because I believe the same thing as that person. So the solution here is to change your belief so you're no longer affected by other people's opinion. It was a long answer. Okay. Some thoughts feel so subconscious that it's hard to catch them. What advice would you give? Getting good at dumping your brain on a piece of paper. That's a skill. And the only way for you to get good at it is to practice doing it. Is literally to have a book, right? And just practicing being good at writing down your thoughts on a piece of paper. And that comes with time, right? That comes with practice. And the better you become at this, the more you get clear on what's going on in your own brain. That's it. Okay. I'm not going to have time to answer all the Q&A. So I'm going to, after the meeting, I'm going to download the Q&A, all the question you are asking, and then I'm going to answer it in the next couple of days. Okay. And they keep coming in. We're flooded with questions right now. So just, if I don't answer it to you today, I will in the next couple of days. Okay. I'm going to take one more and then we're going to end it just to respect everyone's time. Okay. Recent studies about positive thinking show that if the thought is not believable to the person, then it isn't effective for changing their mindset. How do you develop new thoughts that we actually believe, especially when some of them were created as a child? Awesome question. Part of it was answered with the second person that I coached, right? So what we're practicing here is not positive thinking. It's what we call intentional thinking, right? Proof of that is the way that I teach body image. I do not teach body love. My entire framework around body image is body neutrality for the exact reason you just talked about in your questions. Because we know that shifting from the left to the right is ineffective. We need to first get to a neutral thought. We need to get to that space of neutrality. So this is something we have built in all of our programs, food and body image, and in mindset. So intentional thinking is not about propelling yourself in la la land. It's about moving up the ladder so that your brain will not reject the thought. Second fold to this is the exercise, the second exercise we did together, where I got you to see and understand, and you're going to get that on your worksheet, where your thought is coming from, right? So normalization, understanding the systemic, the social construct that were built in through your thought, or that the thought continued to uphold the social construct of the systemic issue, is part of helping your nervous system accept the new belief. So call it a trauma-informed approach to thought work. Because when we talk about food and dieting and body image, it is a form of trauma. So we need to get the nervous system on board. So I'm getting into the weeds, into the complicated stuff, because the question came from somebody that obviously has a research background, but you don't need to know all of this. The thought ladder that we teach inside of Undiet Your Life is the solution to that question. So for me, for an example, I was taught, as far as I can remember, my mom dieted her entire life, and she had a despise for fatness, a very vocal one. So I learned that fatness was disgusting from a very young age. That's how, with the thought work and the thought ladder, that I was able to change that belief system. Okay, I'm going to keep all the other questions, and I'm going to answer them in days to come. So watch for the replay email that's coming at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You're going to have your worksheet into that. That's going to give you the weight piece protocol. And then tomorrow, we're going to, I'm reading the chat at the same time. This is a bad idea. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about authorizing ourselves and giving ourselves permission. And I'm going to give you the 5 most effective thoughts I use with my clients to build confidence. So with that in mind, ladies, gentlemen, folks, whoever's in the audience, have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Beyond ready to shed diet culture from your life and become the expert at your own body? Awesome. Then you need to join Undiet Your Life program. Go to stephaniedodier.com/join and join us now. Undiet Your Life is the first program of its kind with the unique combination of mindset, life coaching with intuitive eating and body image. Find your freedom, reclaim your power, and take control of your time so you can refocus on what really matters to you. Join Undiet Your Life at stephaniedodier.com/join, and I'll see you on the other side.